A very good afternoon to all our dear viewers, and welcome to this talk show conducted by Global Education and Training Institute. Today, we have with us Ms. Priyanka Joshi, who is an assistant professor at the Faculty of Law, Marwari University. She has a master's degree in commerce with a specialization in accountancy. She started her career as a secondary school teacher at Sadhu Vaswani School. She has 8 years of experience in academic teaching school and college students. She has already been acclaimed for great student feedback, punctuality, integrity, and sincerity in her 8 year long career. She has been teaching professional courses also, like company secretary and chartered accountancy. She has worked as the assistant branch manager in Axis Bank in 2019, and her area of interest are management and accountancy. She has been a facilitator and educator with an optimistic approach and understanding that the psychology of student is of utmost importance. If we need to be enthusiastic in our deeds, we definitely need to revolve around our change in revolution, and change in the revolution will be brought only once we deem our responsibility to be of higher priority. Over to you, Ms. Priyanka Joshi, who is here to give us a live talk and speak to us on online versus offline teaching modality. Over to you, Ms. Priyanka.
Thank you so much, ma'am. A very good afternoon, a good evening to all of you present here. I hope everything is well at your end. Here I am for you today as a speaker for the session where I'll be talking about online teaching versus offline teaching. We know that the situation of COVID has made us follow the online teaching very strictly, where students had no option of going to schools physically, but to go to the online classes virtually. This setup has made us such a way that we need to go to online coaching compulsorily. But at the time sets down, as the situation of corona gets into control, we went back to the new normal that was the hybrid mode, where we taught online as well as offline to students. But with the removal of the new normal or with the removal of the levied restrictions of the COVID, we went back to the physical schools where students were also given a chance they can showcase their online talent as well as their offline classes can be attended through the offline mode. But now, as we can go through the situation, we feel that how it should be the first one, which mode is the best one, whether the online mode or the offline mode. So, if given a chance, what we could choose. But before choosing the best option, we need to check which one, what are the pros and what are the cons of the given situation. What is online education? What is offline education? What are the particular elements that is to be considered before choosing those decision making power. So let's go to the PPT session where we could see how it deals with us. So I'm sharing you my screens. Just a second. Yes. So we'll be talking about how our deals, that is how the session goes on the online versus offline teaching. So the topic that outlines today is the introduction part. What is online education? What is offline education? How online education is different than the offline education? Important elements that has to be considered before choosing the decision and the conclusion part. So the introduction says that the COVID situation has made us compulsory to go to virtual sessions where the students were going online from the morning schools to the afternoon, or you can say the college going students from morning to the evening. But for them, the online education was good enough to make them a place where they are comfortable to sleep in or where they are comfortable to lie upon their bed and attend the classes. But the situation of corona has made us also feel that there is an important aspect to the physical classes also. There are certain things that has to be considered like sports, co-curricular activities, laboratories, libraries that has to be gone to the physical modes only. They can be done online also, but the efficiency or the practicality of such aspects cannot be put in the other world, right? So what is offline and online education? When we talk about the difference between the two, the first part is the method of teaching. The online education goes upon the digitalized tools, like we use the apps like Zoom, Google Meet, Windows. We have different modes of education like YouTube, Coursera, An Academy, where they provide the digital tools and methods of teaching. While offline education is all about the traditional tools and methods where we go to the physical classes and attend the lectures continuously. What is the cost and time? The online education is very cost effective and time saving because we need to, not to go to any physical classes. We can save our time of the traveling to that particular place to and fro, and the apps can be installed in our phones, which is very cost effective. While on the other side of offline education, it is more expensive than the online education because it has to be done in a particular time frame, in a particular setup of a structure where you need to go to a physical classes. There should be a particular school or institution or a college where students need to go regularly, sit in a particular setup and attend the classes. The location, obviously the online classes are virtual classes, while on the other side, those are physical classes. Flexibility. Now, how flexibility is one of the important aspects here because online education gives you a flexibility of the schedule. A student can use the schedule as per their convenience. It may be a day, or maybe a night, or maybe the mid of the day when they feel they want to attend recorded lectures. They can do it anyway, anytime, anywhere. That is the most important part of the online education. While on the offline education, a student must go to a fixed structure and has to follow a strict schedule where they have no option of opting out of that situation. On the other side, communication and collaboration happens digitally. We are talking just like this. The example of the live location or live education is the thing that we are going for this live session as of now. But in the offline education, the collaboration has to be face to face, where the student and teacher is sitting face to face and they talk and then interact on the face to face collaborations. The type of approach in this offline education is very synchronous and instructional, while the type of approach in the online education is asynchronous, where we need to think how we can approach to the teachers. There should be a different session for doubt solving. There has to be a different session for practical questions. There has to be a different session for theoretical aspect. But in the offline education, all of them can go in a single sync. The pace of learning. Now, the online students has this facility of using this pace of learning as per their understanding and their time conveniency. Because students are given a chance that they can fast forward the recorded lectures or they can read that lectures again and again on loop until then they understand the particular topic and topic understanding. While this type, the offline teaching, teachers are largely determined to the space of learning. Teacher has to see what kind of class we have, what kind of students we have. We have three types of students. One are the smart ones, one are moderate ones, one are the dull ones. Now the teacher has to pace the topics as per the three categories that is being given here. Now that depends how the slower student in the class gets the topic in the time. The most smart student may have the two different topics all done together, but the pace of the class has been in the control of the teachers in the offline classes. Now the level of commitment. Students are very less likely to remain serious and committed to their studies. Why? Because in the era of online where they have their gadgets in their hands, maybe a laptop, maybe a phone, maybe a palm top, they have different options to switch their screens also, where they go and play PUBG, they go and scroll their Instagram, and they go and watch YouTube videos. But in the offline education, students has to remain serious and committed to their studies because they are set in a setup where they cannot move around or they has to follow a certain rules and regulations where they cannot go out of the class and roam around. But the online education gives them this you can say less likely to have this seriousness and commitment towards the studies. Moving next is what is online education or what is online learning. So the flexible teaching of teachers that allow students to quickly access study materials from the comfort of their home. You can sit anywhere, you can lie down anywhere, you can roam around anywhere, and you can still learn of the topics that you like to do. The students can use this as per their own pace of learning, and they can go for enrolling any different type of courses that they want to pursue. Students have an access to infinite amount of educational resources and learn how to manage their time and self discipline. While on the other hand, offline learning is the typical traditional form of learning where teachers and students interact in person. Teachers have an eye on the students' actions and answer and intervene as and when required. While they have very sophisticated online education becomes very tough because the students' essential growth and commitment does not reflect in the online education. So there are different elements that has to be considered while we talk about the choose decision to choose the online education or the offline education. So the number one is the mode of education in offline and online courses. So online, we as we discussed that we have this virtual classes where we can go and access the classes from any location where we are sitting. We can be sitting at a place, we can be sitting on the bed, we can be sitting in some other place, and we can still log in to attend the classes. Teachers have access to variety of online resources, that is live interactions, videos, audios, animation, virtual whiteboards. They can use different animations to show different concepts and clarity. Well, on the other hand, offline classes has to be done on on the go easily. Enables the teachers to participate in real-time conversations and debates and close interactions with the lecturers. So student can get the real-time answers very soon because as and when the doubt is arised, the student can ask the teacher. They can stop there and clarify the first thing first, and then go ahead with the coming up topic. While additionally, students can engage in extracurricular activities that can be using their benefit for their mental health, such as painting and physical education. Curricular activities, I remember in my childhood, we have tons of activities that we used to do in the school. For example, we had dance competition, we had fancy dress competitions, we had sports competition, we had different indoor games and outdoor games that we can compete with our classmates. But that cannot be done in the online education. Next one is the accessibility. Now, the people who have easy access to the internet, or you can say continuous access to the internet, that can only go for the online education. Where we have seen examples of the village area or the remote areas where there is no availability of the internet connection. It is very much a problem because the students cannot access their educational resources. But the students who are well enough equipped with the good internet connection, they can access any resources of their choice from any location. So they are easy to attend the lectures, and thanks to the apps like Zoom and Microsoft Teams, where they can use this facility to log in from any location. However, students must travel to the location of their education institution for the offline courses. Why? Because the school is a structure or the institution where there is a fixed schedule and fixed rules and regulations that has to be followed, and a structure is made so that students need to go there, sit on the bench, and have this class to be attended from their part. So some students might have to travel a long distance to get their different educational institution, which could be very inconvenient. Our mothers and our fathers used to say that in their childhood times, the schools were far away from their places. They used to travel 10 kilometers to and fro so that they can go and attend 3 hours of class. That was the inconvenience that was caused to you. But nowadays, as we live in the city area, there are many options for the schools also. But again, the traveling time has to be considered when it comes to the offline classes, where we need to go to the school and attend the classes in the physical mode. Next one is management of the time. As we know, the students nowadays have this major problem of adjusting their timetable, right? Online students frequently lack a proper schedule and are distracted by several tasks. For example, if they're logging into a class at 8 a.m., but after 10 minutes of attendance and all the regulations, they went to scroll their Instagram account or they go and check their Snapchat stories. So that is a problem. They cannot put their all the time or attention in this online class. They might be shuffling different screens just to take the advantage of the screens or the phones that they have. Additionally, students may find other things to do online or check their social media accounts. While in the offline class, students are required to follow a rigid timetable that has been established by the instructors. Also, because there is a synchronous learning, students will be expected to finish their assignments and projects on time. Offline classes has to be given in a time frame where they have a schedule from 8 to 12. They have different lectures of 40 to 45 minutes, and that too with a certain timetable which is already fixed in advance, that is followed on weekly basis. So every day they have a English class, they have a grammar class, they have a maths class, they have a science class. This schedule is prefixed and it has to be followed in a certain time limit. So management of time becomes easy in the offline classes, while online classes may have certain disadvantages in regards to time management. Next one is the flexible class structure. Now, as we discussed, that students can simply go and sit anywhere because they have access to the recorded lectures and online reading material also. They can sit at their home, they can sit at their uh, relatives' home, and even they can attend the lectures. But when we talk about the class flexibility in the offline classes, it is not given there because a student has to, if they want to go to a occasion, or if they want to, if they are not well, they have fallen sick, they may miss the class, but they need to go and recover what is left in the class. So that is a problem when we talk about the class flexibility. The students of the offline class may miss out the lectures because of the whatever the reasons, and then they recover that things on their own. But on the offline classes, that's a flexibility is the main advantage, where the students have the facility of the recorded videos. They can double up the speed of the recorded lectures, and also they can have the access to available material on the net, or you can say Wikipedia, right? Next one is the student teacher interaction. Now, how the teacher interaction works on the online sessions. So there is a plenty of interaction between students and teachers that happen in the online platform. Students can communicate with their instructors online at any time and any place. For example, we know there are WhatsApp groups, there are Gmail accounts, or there are chain of different particular groups that has been formed by the institutions for the regular updates and regular instructions to be given to the students. The classes may be, for example, I priorly was working in a school, so where we had a session going on the Zoom meeting. So where we have fixed schedules going on, we have this instruction form that the instruction has been given to the offline format, and then we follow the online sessions to the regular classes. But the instruction has to be sent to the parents through WhatsApp groups. The groups were made with an intention to give them regular updates and the changes that has to be done in a particular time limit. They may be having any issues, so they can just WhatsApp a text to the teacher asking a doubt or asking of any problem, that this can be done anytime. Whether in the offline classes, a student can only go and ask teacher when the teacher is available. For example, if I have a doubt, if I have a doubt that arises after when I go back to the home, and that the problem arises. So when the next day the teacher comes to the class, then only I can ask that this is a problem, please answer this. That cannot happen in a on offline class. So that has to be done as per the timetable. If the teacher is available to you, that can only be done once all of this is particular formatted. But if that is not the case, this cannot be done to a particular online classes. Online classes may be having access to any time to the teacher, maybe through WhatsApp group, maybe through emails, maybe through different chat platforms where they can interact with the teachers anytime, anywhere, any day, right? So since the instruction is synchronous, there is a face-to-face interaction even in the offline classes. It enables students to ask questions right away and get answers quickly. The teachers are adjusting to various instructional strategies. Teachers can modify and rectify their teaching methods, tools, and techniques as per the requirement of the class and the students' understanding. The next one is the technical problems. As we have discussed, that the most crucial part is the technical problem. For example, if I go out of network, if my network is not continuous, if I have a problem in the buffering of this network, I may not be audible to you, or the screen is not visible to you. So what happens the same in the class? A class, when the class is going on in the online classes, maybe the webcam is not working properly of the teacher, maybe the audio is not proper, maybe the voice is cracking, maybe the video shown is not having any audio, or maybe the microphone of the teacher is not working. So the online courses must be taken with a working internet connection and access to appropriate electronic devices like webcams, microphones, headphones, and PCs. Attending online lectures, downloading videos, or accessing online notes may be challenging for the students. For the example of the students who live in the remote areas, they have no access to the internet, where they don't have smartphones, they don't have Android phones where they can go and attend lectures. So for that particular time, in the last 2 years, all the government schools and all the schools in the rural areas were stopped. or was not in a working condition. Why? Because students in such area are not adaptable, not flexible, or not understandable to adapt such kind of change that has been arise due to COVID situation. So there, that was a challenge for them because they had no even access to the internet connection. So how can we think about a small kid of 7 or 8 years using an Android phone to go to their online classes? While it is easily accessible to the students who are in the city area or who are in the urban area, because there the parents have bought a new phone for that particular online classes access. Why? Because one is for the mother, one is for the father. But what about the kid, where the kid has to follow 4 hours or 5 hours of online classes? So they bought a new laptop, or there is a new purchase of the phone, or you can say PC, where the students are given their own phones and gadgets so that they can go to their online classes. If you could check, during the time of COVID, there was a high sales of all the electronic gadgets like phone, laptops, PC, smart TVs, and whatnot. Why? Because the access to this particular kind of gadgets was a mandatory requirement, which cannot be taken on the other stand, where we can put the education in the back front and the students can go for the access of this internet facility. So the technical problems may have arise and pose a threat to offline classes, because most learning takes place in the physical classrooms, and neither students or nor the teachers are expected to be particularly techno savvy. Why? Because all the offline classes are found in a in person to person, or you can say in person interaction. Students may be not tech savvy, or teacher may not be tech savvy. They can still go and continue with the offline classes, where the teacher can explain the concept and the students can ask questions and get the sorry query solved. But only in the offline classes this cannot be a problem. But they may be using an audio visual classroom, they may be using animations to showcase their particular topics and ideas. But if that particular idea is not working, they can still switch to the offline class mode, and they can explain the particular topic to the students, and student can still understand. But if the access to internet is not proper, if the internet connection is not proper, the students may have a serious situation where the student is not able to understand in case of non-recorded lectures. Every school nowadays, every institution nowadays, platforms like Unacademy and Coursera give you an option of recorded lectures. Why? Because of this continuous technical problems that have arose in day-to-day like activities. For example, if I'm talking about this particular session, and if I'm talking about a Zoom meeting that may have a disruption of the internet, my maybe my when the boss is asking me the questions, I may not be able to answer that because my screen is buffering and my audio is not connected to the screen. So it may have different consequences to a particular set of people. Maybe students, maybe employees, maybe boss, maybe having different institutions. So they have trouble when they don't have proper internet connection. Whether you have a student or whether you have a teacher, both the ways it is a problem, and sometimes it also become an escape plan for the students also. For example, we had when we used to do this the online teaching in our school time, there was no such thing happening, but I have seen this students having escape plans. Why? Because before 2 years, when we're talking about the starting of the online classes, student used to give different excuses. For example, teacher, your audio is not connected, your video is not visible, your voice is cracking, the screen is not visible, your voice is not coming out, I have a connection of internet issue, I'll keep my video off because my internet connection is very weak, or I'll keep my audio off because my other sibling is also learning from the online class, so I cannot speak because she's a smaller kid, so she will be giving answers online, so the other person cannot speak. So if two kids are there in the house, they cannot have same classes going on in the same time frame, and if it has to be done so, they need to have two different gadgets so that they can given to both of them separately. So technical problems arise because of the internet connection, but that is not the case when it comes to the physical classes. Practical education. Now, as we think about a science lab where we are discussing about the chemical reaction that happens when we combine the oxygen and carbon dioxide. So that is the formation of, you can say, H2O. But water is formed, that how we can say that this particular chemical give only this kind of reaction? What's the pH level of soap? What's the pH level of a particular chemical? That can only be taught in online classes, but that can not be shown. That cannot be felt by the students in the online classes. So online learning is fully theoretical and it occurs online only. Students must physically be there and conduct live experiments or actively participate in the activity for the classes like chemistry, physics, biology, art, and sports. For example, how we can conduct sports class online. We may give them the theory how we can do running, how we can do swimming, how we can do hula hoops, but the teacher can only showcase that particular thing in the mobile screen. But the practicality of how it works or how it could be a problem to the students can only be done in the physical form. Online classes cannot teach sports. For example, if I'm reading a book about how to swim, I can read the book in a day, but I cannot perform swimming because even if I have not entered the swimming pool. So that has to be done in a physical, practical world only. So the offline classes offer a stimulating environment that integrates both theoretical as well as practical component of the learning that helps the pupils in general cognitive understanding and skill development that cannot be done online. So if you ask a sports teacher to teach running, to teach swimming, to teach hula hoop, to teach you can say jack throw, that cannot be done offline, that cannot be done online. So that is a controversial thing when it comes to practical education. Think about the science lab, think about the libraries. We have apps like Kindle or we have gadgets like Kindle that offer online books, but again it's a gadget. The physical feel of the book or the you can say paper bag cannot be dealt in the online form. So that is a problem or that is a constraint when it comes to practical education. Yes, concluding our talk, we can say that there is no right or there is no wrong decision when it comes to the online versus offline classes. It has similar number of benefits and drawbacks. We have discussed their flexibility, we have discussed their adaptability, we have discussed the technical problems, we have discussed their mode of learning, we have discussed the particular kind of teaching. We have discussed about the tools and techniques that we use in this online and offline classes. So there are different benefits and there are different drawbacks from each of this component. So the choice of whatever media is best for you and your child ultimately rest with you once you have read everything. You should know what is offline learning, you should know online learning. Then only we can compare or then only we can choose the best possible option for our kid. So all you need to do is ensure that your child feels comfortable studying, understanding everything and applying what they have learning regardless of media you select. Whether you choose your online teaching or whether you go for offline teaching, it should be the understanding, it should be the level of maturity, it should be the level of sense of a student or of a teacher, how the things work out for them. You may be going for online classes, you may be going for offline classes. For example, we have been discussing about the COVID situation where we have no option left but to switch to the online classes. But once it was over, we again back to our traditional forms of offline teaching only because we still feel that the students are lacking the feel of the teachers, the students are lacking the personal interaction that happens between a teacher and a student. They cannot happen offline, they cannot happen online. They have different consequences and different benefits when it comes to the decision making of the parent. So that has to be considered while talking about choosing different modes of education. A student can be going for online, maybe going for offline, which has different benefits and drawbacks. So one has to be comfortable enough to understand the basic understanding of what it is and what it is not, and then you can choose the best option possible for your kid. So, moving to the next one, we have this Q&A. If may, we can go for the online discussion of any questions from your side, from the audience part.
Yeah, thank you very much, ma'am. We do have a few questions. We can take up one or two of them one by one. If you could please stop sharing, then we can see you also as well to address those two questions. One
Yes.
question by one of the viewers is that as a parent, how should we decide that which mode of learning can be uh, adopted and which mode should be considered as the best suited one? Because, for different age groups, you might have different requirements. For a senior age group where you are opting for some distance learning and all, you definitely can have the option, you have the option of going for online modality. But as far as schooling is concerned, what do you suggest the parents? Um Having understood the complete scenario that we all passed through during COVID times, how important and how vital it was for everyone to get connected through online mode. Then, secondly, we also would like to know that as educators, what would be your preference for students to choose the best mode of learning? So, if you could please address these two questions.
Yeah. Thank you for the questions, ma'am. So, the answering the first question, that is which what should be considered while as a parent we think that which is the best possible option that we can choose for our kids. So, if you ask me, I'm a parent also, I am a teacher also. So that becomes very crucial for me to decide because I have a kid that I'm sending him to the school and ask him to do what is to be done in the school as well. But when we talk about the COVID situation where we were compelled to send the students online screens also, where the classes were taking virtual forms. There was no option of going to school. So that time was compulsion. But now if you talk about this particular scenario where we have been accepting the new normal of going for the online classes as well as the offline classes. So that is a situation where we can think of the students understanding. For example, if I feel that in last 2 years the kids have suffered a lot because probably the students who were living in the remote areas were having no access to the internet, and they stopped their learning process for the probable 2 years, which made a great damage in the learning processes. But when we talk about the people who had easy access to the internet, they had availed it a lot, and then they had access to different platforms, different material, different courses available online. So, as a parent, we can think that we should go for the understanding of the kid. We should understand the maturity level of the kids. For example, if the kid is around, the kid enters a school at the age of 3. So if we talk about the schooling education, it has to be done in a physical forms compulsorily. But when we talk about the kids who have already passed their 12th standard and they can go for their graduation or the post graduation, they can opt any of those. They can even go for distance learning because nowadays distance learning is very cost effective and they can be done from any location and any course can be opted as per the student's understanding and student's choice. So for distance learning and for the understanding of the students, the school going kids has to go for the physical education or you can say the offline education. But the graduation students or under postgraduate students can choose the way that they like the most. And going to the next one, that we has the as a educator, as educators, what we feel that what is the preference when it comes to us, what should we select, whether we should go for the offline education or should we go to the online education. So for me, the understanding level is the most important part. I cannot teach the whole class the same level of topics. I may have a moderate student, I may have a weaker student, I may have a smart student, but all of them sit in a class together when it comes to physical class. So I have this control of the class. I can decide the pace of the learning. I can teach them twice, thrice, 5 times. That cannot be done online. Once the online session that is going live interaction is gone, the students may not be having any option to even ask a question. That is only available if the recorded lectures are given by the institution. So we can talk about there are two concepts that I believe that has to be brought into consideration, that is value creation and value addition. Value creation is all basically how the kid is growing up, what is their understanding, their maturity, how the concepts can be given them the clarity, their level of senses, the level of understanding should be brought into consideration. So the value creation happens in the school where the kids start to communicate. They start the making the they have a habit of making friends. They know how to socialize with the people around. They understand the basic manners of how to behave in a certain class setup, or they ask questions so they know how to interact with different kind of people around. So the value creation mode applies when the student starts growing. The upbringing, the manner etiquettes can be done only in the physical class, where the students learn to make friends, the students learn to ask questions, the students learn how to do the sums on their own, or they do it on the abacus model. That depends on the value creation. So value creation has to be done in the schooling education, which should have been only in the physical forms, that is offline education. The other part, that is value addition, that can mean that we can support with the online education. For example, I have a brother who goes to college. So he's doing graduation. The college happens in the physical form only. But to build his CV, to build his profile, to make the skills upgradation, he can learn different courses from Coursera. He can go for Unacademy. He can go for Udemy. There are different platforms available that give you certificates all over the globe. There are universities which are available online, which provide them recorded lectures, and they can provide certification and degrees from distance learning also. So for value creation, you should depend on the offline education only. But when it comes to online education, you can use for the skill upgradation, you can go for the hobby making, you can go for different kind of skills that to be learned online. So value creation has to be done in the schooling part, that is has to be in offline education only. Well, the value addition or value, you can say increase can be done in the online education. So both of them are a combination. So I believe the combination is best when it comes to offline or offline. There should be no versus in between. There should not be comparison as of now. There should be offline education and online education together.
Very well said and very well concluded with this line that we can have a combination of both online and offline going simultaneously together, taken up simultaneously together, looking into the need of the hour at the current situation. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was Ms. Priyanka Sanjay Joshi, researcher and professor at Marwadi University, who had joined all the way from Rajkot, Gujarat, to give us this live speaking session on online versus online teaching modality. And for more such talks, to partner with us in the disruptive literacy movement, please mail us at scaleup at globaldream.guru or WhatsApp and call us at 917408406000. Till we meet again, it's bye bye from all of us, and hope we meet very soon with another speaker at the same platform. Thank you very much, Ms. Priyanka Joshi.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.